This is Bob's Central Guide, and I'm going to talk about COVID-19 today. Now, the media has given you only partial information and it's confused you an awful lot about everything. I haven't made videos in a while, and basically I got shadow banned and demonetized or something like that, but I've only got 19 videos, so I don't care. Maybe someday when I have more videos, then maybe I'll do something about it. But anyway, on to what I want to talk about. COVID-19, the coronavirus. They've known about it for years. It's part of the COVID family of viruses. There's a COVID-18 and COVID-17, and these are all basically just the flu. That's all it is. It's just the flu, right? Now, you don't want to get the flu, right? And it's different from other flus, and I'll get to that. That's number two. But the first thing is, you should know it's just the flu. In fact, if you've gotten the other COVID viruses in the past, there's a chance that you have antibodies that are going to help do something about it, right? So you might not suffer at all because you have antibodies that are close enough to COVID-19 that you're safe from it, right? And so some people will suffer from it. Most people will just get the flu, right? And they'll suffer a little bit. The death rate actually is 1%. Now, all the reports, people don't know how to do math, I guess. And like with Italy, they said, well, you know, the death rate is actually 7%, 10%. But they're saying that 7% of the people who ended up in the hospital, they're not talking about the vast majority of the people who have it. So 80% never go to the hospital. 80% never seek out medical treatment. And of the 20% that do, only a small percentage are actually hospitalized. And then it's like 1%, which is 1 out of 100. Okay. And they're already dying of some other illness or some other problem. You know, they already have cancer. I was working in a hospital one time. And this guy died, and they said it was heart disease that he died from. But he was like 95 years old. Okay. His body wore out. People die because their bodies wear out. And basically, that's really what is killing them. It's the last nail in the coffin, so to speak. So it's not like COVID is actually as deadly as they say it is. The people are already dying from something who die from this. See, what kills you is that pneumonia. It's the pneumonia that kicks in, and it's an immune system response, which is why they're talking about these drugs for lupus and for malaria and whatever, is because it slows down the immune system. It reduces the immune system's effect, so they will not possibly get to the pneumonia part, that it won't trigger pneumonia. Okay, which is an overreaction by the immune system. So these drugs can save lives, and it's ridiculous to even argue about them when the risks are already known about them. See, anyway, but it's just the flu, and if you get it, it's probably not a big deal. You're not going to suffer that much, and this is an overreaction basically for the most part. And people are reacting from it, but it's 1%, or they said 1/10 of 1%, 0.1, right? 0.1 between the two, between the 1.0 and the 0.1, and 1% is 1 out of 100. 1/10 of 1% is 1 out of 1,000. So you're not talking about a high death rate here, right? there's been misdiagnosis, misreporting. There's all kinds of errors involved in it, but it's basically 1% or less. Number two, the reason why we're overreacting is because regular flus, regular viruses, you have 2 to 4 days in which you're asymptomatic. That is, you're sick, but you're not giving it to you're giving it to people and you don't realize you're sick. That's the asymptomatic part, the beginning stages, when it's building up in your body and your body hasn't reacted to it yet. You could be asymptomatic 2 to 4 days for the regular flu. COVID-19, on the other hand, is different. You're asymptomatic 10 to 14 days, right? Up to 2 weeks. You don't know it. It's in your system. You're giving it to other people. Now imagine how many airports you can fly through. Imagine you're on the plane and you're going to Wuhan, China from New York City, right? And going back and forth there. How many people can you infect in 14 days? See, that's a lot of people. Maybe 10 times more people or 100 times more people than a regular flu. See, that overwhelms the hospitals. That's the reason why that originally Donald Trump, originally the president, wanted to shut down air flights out of China. But the World Health Organization and China was against that. See, and that could have stopped this right away. Airline travel is probably the number one way that this got spread, and all the major cities got hit. Now, I have experience having gone to New York City. I know what it's like. You park your car in a parking garage. You walk to the nearest subway entrance. You go in there, you wait in a crowd for the subway train. You get on the subway train, overcrowded subway train. It goes for a couple of miles. Then you get off the subway and you walk through a packed pavement on Wall Street, Times Square, whatever. You know, you're walking shoulder to shoulder. It's wall to wall people. 10 blocks to get to your big building, your office building. Then you go through security and you get on your elevator, and the elevators are packed, and that's the express, and it stops on a certain floor, and you get off of that and you get on the local, and again another packed elevator, and you get to your office area, and the office is open concept with 100 people in there, you know, and it might take you 2 hours, 3 hours to commute into New York City from New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Connecticut. See, and there's about 6 million people in New York City during the day, and about 4 million people, 3.5 to 4 million people leave New York City and commute home to their state, leaving only 2 or 3 million people who actually live there. See, and so you've got a tremendous. This is a nightmare for public health. Okay, because not only does COVID-19 spread very fast in densely populated cities, but then the people commute home and take it with them to other states in the area. Now, the good news is, now I live in Pennsylvania, and I don't live far from another guy, another apartment building that has New York license plates. And I know he commutes because I see him leave early in the morning, like at 4 a.m. in the morning, to get to his job in New York, right? But I've never talked to him, see? And I don't think I was even 100 feet, close to him. I mean, he's a neighbor of mine. I know he commutes to New York, but the chances of getting a virus from him is very small, because we're not overcrowded like New York. We're not densely populated like New York. So now that the curve is flattening in New York, right, the infection rate's going down, you don't have to worry that much anymore, because outside of New York, outside of some of these other places, it doesn't spread that easily. See? So you don't have to worry about it too much. And that's basically it. It's just the flu, but it can travel so fast that it can put a lot of people in the hospital very quickly. And so that's a problem, is how fast it can spread. And that 1%, but you multiply it by 10 or 100 because of how fast this virus can spread. It overwhelms the hospitals. And that's the only real problem. Now the curve is flattening out. Basically, it is the rate of infection times, or divided by the number of weeks it takes to kick it, which is like 3 weeks, right? 2 and 3 weeks. So it's the rate of infection versus how fast it is for people to get over it. And the curve is flattening. So they're not infecting as many people now. See? And so this is the real problem. Now this is the real problem. Now they talk about self-isolating and all this kind of stuff, right? And they talk about masks. And first they say, oh, don't wear masks. Don't worry. It's okay, And then they said, oh, no, we have to worry. It's going to be awful. And then, it's like, don't wear masks, but the masks will save you. And then they say, well, no, the masks will save other people from you, So they say different things to manipulate you to control your behavior. Now that, we've all had that experience in high school, right? Now, if I'm coughing, it's because of pollen. I'm sensitive. I'm sensitive to pollen. And right now, the plants are pumping out their pollen and whatever. And that's what's really causing the problem here for me. But other than that, so if you've already been, I'm healthy. I'm taking my vitamins every day. If you're, and my job, basically, I'm working in an empty warehouse now. So it's not as if I'm going to be spreading it, or catching it very easily. So, I mean, this is kind of an overreaction. Most people don't have to worry about it, right? So just don't worry about it, right? It's okay. It's not a problem. I predict, now Dr. Fauci said, predict that 100,000 to 200,000 people are going to die, right? And I said on that YouTube video, I typed in, it'll never hit 1,000. It'll burn out long before 100,000, right? And some Indian guy cursed me out. Big long post. How do you think that you can know more than the doctor does? And da 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 da. Well, I went back and I found his comment to me, and I replied to it, and I gave a link to it too. I said, well, Dr. Fauci just redid his calculations and says it's only going to be maybe 60,000 now, right? And so I was right. Now, why was I right? Because New York City is not like the rest of the country. And now that New York City's burned out, like all the possible people who got infected have gotten infected, maybe 50% got infected, right? It's just going to go down from this point. And you're talking about 2-3 weeks to get over the flu. So it's not going to be a lot of time. We should not be quarantined for a lot longer. We shouldn't be. And possibly, as long as the hospitals can handle it, we can go back to our normal life again. We can go hit a bar and have a couple of beers and watch the game again, and we can get a haircut, and we can get our taxes done, and we can get a driver's license renewed, and we can do all kinds of necessary stupid stuff. We can do that now. We could go to the gym, start working out. That's going to be maybe in a month or so. That's my prediction. in about a month or maybe 2 months, something like that. See? So anyway, that's the bottom line. That's what's really going on. And I think everybody's just overreacting to this. And of course, they're going to blame the president. That's what they're probably going to do. Democrats have no chance of getting the White House this next election. They have no chance. And, that's all there is to it. Okay, well, I hope you don't get sick. I hope you can avoid it. And I hope everything goes okay in your life. But don't panic. There's no reason to panic. Okay, thanks.